Hey everyone, I wanted to welcome you to the Valentine's Day Marathon. Sew along for the Heartbreaker and Lil Heartbreaker patterns from K. Escana Designs. I'm going to be making the Lil Heartbreaker today. So this is one that I made up the other day, and it is the wristlet size, and it's actually a really great size for a wristlet. It can hold a lot of stuff, but then it's also just so small and cute. Like, I just love it so much. So that's what I'm going to be making today in this video, and I'm going to go ahead and get started with going over all the pieces that we need. I have already cut everything out beforehand to save a little time, so I'm just going to go over the pieces that we have for this pattern, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So you're going to need a zipper. You're going to need some binding. The inside uses binding. You have stabilizer, you have a D-ring connector, and a wrist strap. And one thing that I'm going to do, I saw this done in another video, is I'm going to be adding this little piece of ribbon to the inside, because this ribbon is really strong and it's going to help support your connectors and your wrist straps so that they last a lot longer. You have your bottom gusset piece, you have your outer and your lining of the zipper gusset. So I'm going to be doing, this is going to be my lining. This is the Love Potion fabric from J&R Edwards. And then I already cut mine out in interfaced, and Kim gives all of the, there's SVG files in the pattern so that you can cut these out if you have a cutting machine, or if you want to trace it and cut it yourself. All of those files are included as a bonus in this pattern. So this is what I'm going to do. Like I said, I've already interfaced and made this bag ready to sew. On this one here, I just used, you can see it's a little squishy. I just used some like woven interfacing, like Decoville Light, like a very light interfacing on this vinyl. And on this one, I chose to do some Decoville Heavy on the back. And I think that's going to give it a little bit more structure when it stands up. So we'll see how that works out. Okay, so now that we've gone over all the pieces, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so the first thing we're going to work on is the D-ring connector, and for that you will need your D-ring connector piece. I've also cut out a small piece of grosgrain ribbon, and I saw this, another maker had used this, and I really liked it, so I've started to do it in my patterns as well. And what you will do, if you want to, I just think that this really gives it a lot of extra strength. I've applied a piece of double-sided tape down the center, and then I'm going to just lay the ribbon down the center of that to just hold it in place. Because this ribbon is so strong, it's going to give a lot of extra support and strength to your D-ring, since that's where it connects to the bag, and there will be a lot of just kind of pressure and pull and stuff, because that's where everything is going to be hanging from. So I just think that this is a really neat way to give it a little bit extra strength. Okay, what you're going to do next is you're going to take a piece of double-sided tape and apply it along each side. Okay, and then from here, we're going to take that off. And then we're going to fold this into the center. Now, if you prefer, you can draw a line down the center of the strip, just so you know where that is, or you can just eyeball it. As long as you fold it into the center and then the finished measurement is what the pattern calls for, you'll be just fine there. So the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm just going to top stitch down each side. So I top stitch down each side, just going to snip off any hanging strings. There we go. Okay, now you're going to take your D-ring and you're going to slide it onto your D-ring connector. So you're going to slide it on. You want to fold it up. You're going to fold it in about thirds. So your finished D-ring connector is going to look like this with the back folded in thirds. Go ahead and clip this in place, and then you're going to set this to the side for now. Okay, the next piece I have here is the wrist strap, and what we're going to do is we're going to draw a line down the center of this panel. Just so we know where the center mark is. Okay, and then just like you did with the D-ring strap, I'm going to also add a strip of ribbon down the center of the wrist strap. Okay. Mine doesn't go the full length, and that's totally fine. It's just to give it a little bit extra strength here. So now if you want to, you can go ahead and draw that center line again down the center of your ribbon, or what we're going to do is just apply double-sided tape down each long side. We're going to fold it into the middle. So I'm removing the backing. And then I'm going to fold that up to the middle of the ribbon. So if you can see, I'll hold this up to the camera in just a second. If you can see, I've folded that into the center, right where that ribbon is, and you're going to remove the paper backing from the other side and do the same thing. Once you get everything folded to the center, you're going to slide your lobster clasp onto that and slide it down to the center of your strap. What you want to do is we're going to sew this together. So if you have double-sided tape, you'll just have to pull it open. Optionally, you can just not put double-sided tape up to the end of your strap there, and that would help save you a little bit of this stickiness as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to stitch down according to the measurements provided in the pattern. We're going to stitch this closed. All right, and then we're going to press that seam open and then just fold it back to the center, making it a complete circle. All right, once that is all folded to the center, you're going to now fold it in half. So basically you're creating almost like a bias binding tape. It's that kind of shape. You're just going to clip it. You're going to fold it in half, clip it all the way around. I'm going to grab some more clips. Once you get this clipped all the way around, you're going to take it to your sewing machine and you're going to top stitch down each side according to what is called for in the measurements, in the pattern instructions. We're going to trim off any loose threads. Turning that over. I'm going to slide my lobster clasp around so it's the right side out. There we go. And then what you're going to do now is you're going to attach your rivet. So I have, let's see, where did I put it? I left it at my table. Okay, I have a hole puncher, so I'm going to mark my spot where I want the rivet, right in the center of the strap. And then you're going to attach your rivet. So once you get your rivet there, you're going to take it, if you have a table press or a hand press, you're going to press that down, and then your strap is complete and you can set this to the side and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so the next thing we're going to work on is the gusset. So with your exterior gusset, you're going to lay it right side up, and then we're going to add a piece of double-sided tape along one long edge. So you want to lay it right along that long edge, all the way down. Okay, once you have that attached, you're going to remove the paper backing. And then we will align the zipper along that top edge, holding that zipper in place. Okay, so as you can see, the zipper is face down, aligned with that top edge of the gusset. Next, we're going to take another piece of double-sided tape, put it on top of the zipper, and then we're going to take the lining gusset and attach that. Okay, so I took the paper backing off. Now we're going to take the gusset lining, turn it face down, and align it at the top again, the top edge of that zipper. So as you can see, we're making a zipper sandwich here. Let me add a few clips and then I can show it closer to the camera. So this is your outer gusset, your zipper, and then your lining gusset. And we're attaching them all at the same edge, that same top long edge. All right, once you get that attached and lined up, you're going to take it to your sewing machine, and then we are going to stitch down the side according to the measurement that is in the pattern instructions. Okay, once you have that, we're going to turn it out. Press both panels away from the zipper. You can clip that in place to help hold it. You want to make sure that it lines up on the back side, so your gusset and your outer lining match. I should say your lining gusset and your outer gusset. You want to make sure both pieces match on this open edge here. So you're going to clip that in place all the way down. Alright, I'm just going to flip it over to the back side and make sure it's nice and flat and smooth. Okay, now you're going to top stitch down this edge. Okay, there you go. You can see that's top stitched. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab the gusset. So you're going to take your outer gusset piece, and along the short edge, we're going to clip it right sides together. So along your one short edge here, clipping the gusset right sides together. You're going to flip it over to the back side, and you're going to attach the lining gusset. Again, right sides down. So you're sandwiching that in the middle, and then you're going to stitch it down. And again, the measurements for the seam allowance here is provided in the pattern instructions. Okay, now we're going to fold each of the bottom gussets away so that they are right sides out. So we're folding them away from the zipper, right side out, right side out. Give that a little finger press to help hold it in place, and then we're going to top stitch along this folded edge. Okay, there we go, that's top stitched. Okay, then the next thing we need to do is we need to attach the other side. So here is the part that gets to be a little bit tricky. We're going to take the outer, attach it to, let me trim this little thread, there we go. So the outer and the outer, we're going to attach the other end of the gusset to the other end of the zipper. And go ahead and clip that in place. Okay, now you see on the other side you still have your lining gusset, your bottom gusset is loose. What we need to do is we need to attach it to this side, so what you're going to do is you're going to have to roll up, you're going to have to roll up your panel from the bottom enough so that you can bring this around and attach it to this side. This is a little tight, And if it's too tight, go ahead and roll up your lining pieces again in the middle. Just roll them a little bit tighter because you want to make sure that this is nice and lined up here. Okay, so once you have that, it's all rolled up on the inside there. Once you have that, you're going to stitch down this edge here. Okay, so you can see that's all stitched down. You're going to pull it out. We want to turn it through so both, there we go, both pieces are on the outside, so that's your lining. We're going to flip it over. There's your gusset. Now what we need to do is top stitch down this side. So we top stitch down the other side, now we got to top stitch down this side. Okay, there we go. So that is top stitched. Now our next step is we're going to take our piece of Peltex and we're going to slide it in between these gussets. So sliding it right in the center, and then you're going to just base stitch down each side here to close this in place. Okay, and that's closed in place in the center. That's going to give you nice structure when the bag is all finished. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and trim off these threads. Okay, the last thing we need to do with the gusset for now is against or along the other side where you top stitch this closed, you're just going to top stitch the rest of the way around to hold the two gusset pieces together. Okay, there we go. So now it's top stitched all the way around, enclosing both pieces. We can set this to the side for now, and we will grab this. We will pick it up again in a few minutes. Okay, so the next thing we need to do, we're getting on to the final assembly. What I love about this wristlet is it really does come together really quickly once you get everything cut out. So what you're going to do now is you're going to grab your main pieces. So you have your outer and your linings, one of each, and you're going to take them and lay them wrong sides together because we are going to be binding this. So what we're going to do, we're just going to clip these in place all the way around. Okay, holding both together, just like that. If you want to just lay it down, smooth out in case you have any bumps or anything like that, you can smooth it out. But then you're going to have each panel just this way. If you're adding a logo badge, you can add it to either, this is going to be the front of mine and there's really no room for it right now. So if you want to add it to the back side of the bag, you can always add it here, centered, maybe, you know, up a little bit, really wherever you want to put it. You can put it up here, you can put it down here, you could even put it on the side on the gusset, or you could attach it to the inside of the bag if you don't want to put it on the outside of the bag. So if you're going to do that, go ahead and do that now. And then the next thing I'm going to take, I'm not going to be adding a logo badge to this bag. I'm just going to go ahead and clip this in place all the way around. Okay. I'm going to lay this down, make sure it's all nice and smoothed out. Okay, so now that I have both of my panels clipped together, I'm going to take them over to the sewing machine and I'm going to baste along the outside edge. So all the way around both pieces, just basting right along that edge to hold these together in place. All right, I'm going to trim off these little hanging threads. Okay, now the next step, what we need to do is we're going to attach this to the bag, or to the gusset, I should say. So with your back main piece and your gusset, you're going to, there are marks on the pattern. You need to transfer those marks to the front of your pattern pieces. So they will be marked according to the pattern. They'll be marked on the front here somewhere. So go ahead and do that to both of your outside pieces. What you want to do is you want to make sure, because they are offset, you want to make sure you mark them with the pattern piece up and then flip it over with the pattern piece down so you get them on the right side. They'll be on opposite sides for each piece. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we will add it to the gusset. Okay, now according to the pattern instructions, it tells you where you're going to line up those marks. And so you're doing the back piece, and then you're going to be doing it with the non-zipper side. So you're going to line up those marks. You're going to start clipping around. And then optionally, because this is a little bit tricky because it's on a curve, if you want to do something like use staples, you can absolutely staple along this edge. Just make sure you are stapling on or within the seam allowance so that once you sew it, you can just remove the staples and no one is any much the wiser. Okay, so you can see that's clipped in place all the way around. I am going to pause the video right here. I'm going to go ahead and get my stapler, and then I'm going to staple around these as well, just because I want to show you how that works, and you can see how it looks when you end up turning it through at the end. It gives you a really nice finish. So I'm going to go ahead and pause. I'm going to staple all the way around, and then we will be back to sew that together. Alright, so I wanted to show you, I went ahead and stapled all the way around. So it's holding that in place. It just kind of helps, because it's stapled, it really helps to hold these two panels together so they don't slip at all. I just added another clip right here just because it's the bend right there makes it a little tricky to get a staple in. But you can go ahead and stitch all the way around. Again, the measurements are included in the pattern. We're going to stitch all the way around, and then after we do that, we're going to remove the staples because you don't want to leave the staples in there. Alright, so now that that's all stitched, I'm going to go ahead and go all the way around, remove all the staples I just put in there. I am then going to also make just a couple snips in the curves so that those, it will help when you turn it through to have around these curves and these curves. It'll just help it to lay a little bit nicer once you get it turned through. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, now that we have sewn that together, what I did is I went ahead and I trimmed down into about, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch or so from that seam allowance. What we need to do now is we need to attach the binding. So if you are using your own binding strip, you're going to fold it in half, and then, so basically you're going to fold it to the center and then to the center again to create your binding strip, and then this is what's going to go over that seam allowance. So if you prefer, you can make your binding strip first, fold it in half, clip it all the way around, and then sew it. Or optionally, what I like to do sometimes, or a lot of times, is I will just work with it like this because I find that that makes it a little bit easier for me. So do whatever you feel most comfortable with. But what I will do here is just attach it to the side. I fold under about 1 inch or so, just so that you don't have the raw edge at the end. And then I'm going to stitch it down, and I'll just go slow, and then having this free, it gives me a little bit of freedom, obviously, to go ahead and just kind of work it around as I go. And for me, I find that that works better. So we're going to go ahead and attach that. And again, the measurements for the binding, for attaching that, is everything is included in the pattern. And it looks like, yep, the bobbin got me. Okay, let's get back to sewing. Okay, and then as I'm getting back around to the front where I started, I'm going to go ahead and just overlap that about that same amount and stitch down. Okay, so you can see that's overlapped there, so that when we fold it over, you're not going to see any raw edges. It'll be all enclosed. Okay, I'm just going to snip this extra off. And then what I do, actually, let me snip off these long strings too. Get those out of the way. Okay, what you want to do is you want to flip the binding over. You want to bring it all up and around. Now, if you've already made your binding tape and clipped it around and sewn it on, you don't have to do this. This is just the way that I do my binding. So what you'll do is you'll bring it around, and then you're going to fold it to that seam allowance. You fold it right there to that seam, or to where the edge is, and then you're going to fold it over. As you can see, then that encloses your stitch lines. So you're going to do that all the way around. Okay, so you do that all the way around and then go ahead and sew it again. Okay, that's all clipped in place. And now we just need to sew it down. So I'm going to press this gusset out of the way and sew right at that line, right at the edge of the binding. Okay, so there's the binding all sewn on that side. That looks really good. I like that a lot. Okay, so I'm just going to trim off any edges, any long strings that I see, and then we will be ready to do the binding on the other side. Okay, so there's that side all done. And start to see it taking shape, literally. Now what we need to do is we need to attach the other side. So what you did with this side in this gusset, you're going to do the same thing with the other side. So again, you have those markings on the front of your panel. You're going to match that up with where they go on the gusset and the zipper. We're going to clip it in place around, and then we're going to stitch it around. And again, if you want to use staples for that part, feel free to go ahead and staple that. Okay, so for the last bit on this one, I went ahead and did clips all the way around, just because it's the zipper tape. So if you unzip it, it's a little easier to work with. And because it's the zipper tape and it moves pretty easily, me personally, I just wanted to use the clips on this one. But it's up to you if you would rather use the staples or whatever you feel most comfortable with, go ahead and do that. So now the last step that we need to do, well, almost the last step, we're almost there. We need to sew this on. So I'm going to sew this at the seam allowance that is indicated in the pattern. And I have my stiletto to help me keep this zipper where it's supposed to go. Right here at the bottom of the heart can be a little tricky. So you might have to reach in and pull the outer to get the lining, to get the gusset just right. So that is stitched around. Now, just like you did on the other side, what I will do is I will trim off the threads, and then I'm going to snip into the, as you can see here, how this zipper tape kind of curled up because it's being pulled around that corner so tightly. So if you just snip a couple little snips up to the stitch line, make sure you don't cut through your stitch line. If you do that around, then you can see how it lays down much nicer and it doesn't want to curl up like this one is. So I'll do that around. And you can do that not only to your zipper tape, but to the material on this side as well. And that will help keep it, when you turn it through, it'll help it to lay nicely. So I'm going to do that down here. Okay, and then I'm going to go around and trim it down just like I did on the lining. Okay, now that that's trimmed down, I'm going to do the same thing by adding the binding on this side as I did on this side. Or I'll do it on this side as I did on this side. Okay, so I clipped it around. Now I'm going to go ahead and sew that down. Okay, so now that that's stitched on, what we need to do now is turn it through. You're going to push all the rounded corners out. Sorry about that, guys, if you heard my TV on. I'm watching a murder trial of a case that I've been following for over a year, so I have that going in the background. If you're a true crime junkie like me, you'll understand. All right. So now you have the option of, if you want to top stitch, for instance on this bag, as you can see I top stitched around. If you want to do that on this bag, you can. As you can see, your binding kind of sticks up like this, but the bag still closes without any problems. So it's up to you. I think on this one I'm going to leave it not top stitched just to show the two differences. So now the last thing that we need to do is attach the tab right here. Actually, it would be on this side. Yeah, it would be on this side. So we need to attach it on the side so that we can attach our wristlet to that. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that, make the mark on the side, and then we will get it attached. Alright, so I have that installed on the side there. Last thing to do is clip the wrist strap on. Close up the bag. Make sure everything is pushed out nicely. Of course, I'll have to take it over to the iron and just kind of help shape it, and I'll probably put some padding in it overnight and, you know, just work it a little bit to get the shape nice and how I want it. But there you go. There's your bag. You guys, it's so cute, so easy to do. You can really have a lot of fun. If you've seen some of the tester bags that have been shown around, I mean, some people are so creative and talented, and anyways, it's just a lot of fun to see. So anyway, here's your bag. The one thing I will show you, and this is up to you if this makes a difference to you, it does, I note it in the pattern, and I forgot to double check that before I made this one, but as you can see, the zipper is here on the low side of the gusset versus over here on this one, the zipper is at the higher end of the gusset. So if it matters to you, just make sure when you're going to put it on that your zipper is going the right way so that it stops at this short end of the gusset here, or that you put your panels on the right way. So anyways, just a side note, double check that to make sure, like I said, if it matters to you. I put, according to the patterns, where the high end here, that's the side you're supposed to put the wrist strap on. But if I did that here, then my zipper would be hanging down. So I just decided to do the wrist strap on this side. So yeah, let me know what you think. Make sure to share your makes. Hashtag, I'm not sure what the hashtag is for this bag. I'm sure it's in the pattern, but happy sewing. Thanks for joining me, and if you enjoyed the video, please let me know. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and let me know what other kind of things you would like to see, and I'll make it happen. Thanks guys, have a great day.